Okay, so for today you're going to get started on Math Journal, page 92. Okay, and then so pause the video, go ahead and work on that, and then when you're ready to check your answers, you can go ahead and press play. Okay, so page 92. We have number one, write less than, more than, or equal to make these number sentences true. Okay, so we have 3009. And on the right side, we have 3009. So hopefully you wrote that that was equal. Left side is 10,000. Right side is 1,000. So we have 10,000 is more than 1,000. 567,398 and 567,489. Okay, so see how they're trying to trick us, right? So the simple way to do this is let's just check our the digits in each place, right? So we have a 5, 6 and a 6, 7 and a 7. And then finally in the hundreds place, we get a 3 versus a 4. We don't need to look at the rest of it because we know that 4 is more than 3. So 567,398 is less than 567,489. Okay, letter D, 3,006,000 or 306,000. Well, obviously we know million is more. And then 5 100,000s is the same thing as 500,000. And we have 500,000. So that one is also equal. Okay, number two, Dan, Chad, and Sam are sharing 2 donuts. Each donut is cut into 6 equal pieces. How many pieces are there in all? Okay, so first we have to tell them how many pieces. Then we need to write a fraction to show each boy's share. And then it tells you to draw a picture to help you solve the problem. So yes, we need to draw a picture. First, I know that if there's 2 donuts and they're in 6 equal pieces, 2 times 6 is 12. So I know that there's going to be 12 pieces. All right, now for my fraction, I'm going to draw my picture. I'm not sure if you guys can see all of that or not. Here's my picture. And I know that I'm going to start with Dan, and then Chad's going to get a piece. Remember, I'm just thinking of pizzas, right? So a piece for Dan, a piece for Chad, a piece for Sam. And now we're starting all over. A piece for Dan, a piece for Chad, a piece for Sam. And we do the same thing on the other donut, right? Okay, so then when I go to count up, let's say Dan, we know that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces for Dan out of how many pieces? 12. So 4 twelfths. Now some of you may have gotten the fraction 1/3. Both of those are correct. But right now I would accept 4 twelfths because this is what we call simplifying a fraction. We're going to talk about that later. But for those of you that are curious, what we did is we took the numerator and we said how many times can 4 go into 12? So it can go in, so we took 1 4 and it went into 12 3 times. So we reduced it down to 1/3. But again, 4 twelfths is acceptable right now. Okay, number 3, circle the equivalent fractions. Use fraction circles to help you. You might want to use fraction circles. You might want to use the equivalent fraction rule where we multiply the denominator and the numerator by the same number. Okay, so for A, we have 3/4 is the same thing as 9/12. 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times 3 is 9. And we can do the same thing with 12/16. 4 times 4 is 16. 3 times 4 is 12. All right, let's look at letter B. We have 2 of them. 2/3 is the same thing as 6/9. Okay? We can't have 9/12 or 4/9 for that matter, but if we look at 9/12, it cannot be that as an equivalent fraction because 3 would have had to be multiplied by 4 to get to 12. But when we do 2 times 4, that is not 9, so that cannot be an equivalent fraction. All right, letter C is a little trickier. Hopefully you found all three. Okay, now you could have done the rule, no problem, but we also know that when we're talking about half of a fraction, right, the numerator is half the size of the denominator, or the denominator is twice as big as the numerator, right? So 4/8, eighths is twice as big as 4, 2 is twice as big as 1, 12 is not twice as big as 8, but 6 is twice as big as 3. All right, complete the other half of the picture and then draw the line of symmetry. So your other half would have looked like that for your heart, and your line of symmetry is right down the middle. And our last one, explain how you know which number is larger in problem 1C. So remember that was the 6-digit number when we were trying to figure out, it was really, really close. They were trying to trick us, trying to figure out which number was bigger. And we talked about it a little bit. We said the first 3 digits were the same. So I had to look at the digit in the hundreds place. 4 is larger than 3, so 567,489 is the larger number. We're just explaining, right? Explaining what we did. All right, those are your answers for Math Journal. Let's get ready for our math lesson today. So you will need your math journal out. Okay, if you need to pause me, go ahead. All right. On this paper, it says to write the following numbers with digits. Okay, and we're going to do this with some of them are going to be decimals, some of them are going to be whole numbers, so you really want to pay attention. Okay, so let's look for number 1. 14 hundredths written as a fraction would look like that. 4 hundredths, remember that THS. Okay, so there's 0 wholes, 0 tenths, but 4 hundredths. How about this one? 4 tenths. 0 wholes, but 4 in the tenths place. 400, just like that. Don't get tricked. Do you see the difference here? No THS versus THS up here. 40 hundredths. 0 wholes, 4 tenths, and 0 hundredths. Okay, but you say there's 40 hundredths, right? But if we did this on with our longs, right, this would be 4 different longs. And 4 longs we know is 10, 20, 30, 40. All right, and how about the number 40? Just that one. So let's look at these and let's decide which one is more, 4 tenths or 40 hundredths. Okay, 4 tenths or 40 hundredths, which is more? Well, we have a 0 in our wholes place. We have 4 in our tenths place, but there's nothing in the hundredths place. And guys, we could very easily add a 0 right here because it wouldn't change that number at all. It's adding nothing to it. So that 4 tenths, even with the 0 added, is going to be the same thing as 40 hundredths. Okay, 4 tenths is actually the same as 40 hundredths. Right? How could we show that 4 tenths is, that says not equal. What did I do? Oh, yes. Okay, so see 4 tenths. Okay, let's look very quickly here. I added a 0 right there. Forgot what I was doing. Added a 0. So now we have 4 tenths is not equal to 4 hundredths. And we could show that by using blocks right here, right? If the flat is my whole, we have 4 tenths, which is 40, versus 4 hundredths. Remember, the hundredths are your single cubes. Okay, and that's, look at this one now. Which is more, 4 tenths or 14 hundredths? Using your base 10 blocks, if you want to draw those out, we could draw 4/10. That would be 4 longs. 14/100 would be 1 long and 4 cubes. I think that picture's wrong. Oh no, there it is. Gosh, there's it makes my eyes do trick. I thought there was 13 there. Yeah, so you can see, right? 40 is going to be more than 14. Right? So we're just comparing our decimals from our tenths to our hundredths place here. All right. Oh, let's look at this one. Right, so remember fractions or decimals are numbers that are smaller than a whole. So if we looked at a number line, I blew this number line up really big. I just took a snapshot of 0 to 1, blew it up really big, and we have all of our 1/10, 2/10, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9/10, all the way to our whole number. And the question is, where would you place the numbers? 8/10, 8/100, and 80/100 on this number line? Well, 8/10 is already done for us, right? So we know this is our 8/10. 80/100. Now let's think about if this was a pizza, guys. 8 out of our 1 whole pieces, right? This would be almost completely full. Like this person would have eaten almost the entire thing. But 8/100, that is less than a 1 in the 10th place, right? So our 8/100 is going to be way down here before the 1/10 because we have 0 in the 10th place. And then 80/100, look at that. It's in the same place because 8/10 and 80/100 are equal to each other. This one's just done with longs. This one's just done with cubes. Okay, so today you're going to continue to model these tenths and hundredths with base 10 blocks if you need them, using decimal notation for fractions with denominators 10 or 100. What does that mean? Well, you're going to be working on page 93, okay? And it says you can work with a partner and you can take a handful of cubes and place them on a square grid if you'd like. However, I think if you just want to make up some of your own numbers, that would be fine. Let's do the first 3 together. So go ahead and turn to page 93. And we're going to start off with, in the letter A's box here, we're going to say there's 1300. So you go ahead and record that. Now we're going to break that up. That is 1/10 and 3/100. Okay, we're putting the THs on here. We would write that as a decimal like this. And then in section D, this is where we get to write the fraction. It would be 13 over 100. Okay, let's do this one. 7/100. What number is in the 10ths place? Hopefully you said 0. How many are in the hundredths place? 7. Now, how are we going to write this as a fraction? Well, we're going to write 0, 7 after that decimal. I'm sorry, how are we going to write that as a decimal? We're going to write it just like that. And our fraction would say 7/100. All right, one more. 20/100. How many are in the 10ths place? 2. We don't have any in the hundredths place. Our decimal would look like that, 20/100, and a fraction would be 20/100. Okay, so you're going to continue that paper. You're going to go through that pretty quickly. It's not going to be too hard. Okay, you're going to finish that page up. And if you get done before time is up, you can come on up and get this place value puzzle. You just have to read through these clues, filling in your different boxes. Okay, let me know if you have any questions, guys.